Hi, I'm Chrissy Grotehouse. I'm an intervention specialist at Delphos City Schools in Delphos, Ohio. I teach at Franklin Elementary, and I teach about 10 students with special needs. I've taught for 14 years. I have had multiple grade levels, multiple subjects, and I've even taught at multiple schools. I was interested in teaching in high school. I graduated from ELITA, and I had the opportunity in high school to go down and work at the elementary building. So I started to do some observations and work with some elementary school teachers. So I decided to go into the teaching profession, and when I was going through college, I worked at daycares, I worked at after-school programs and after-school clubs, and I really feel that those experiences helped me be prepared to work with children in an educational environment. I started college at Ohio State University in Lima and transferred from there to Wright State University, where I graduated with an elementary teaching certificate, and I was able to teach grades 1 through 8. After my first year teaching, I was laid off because of cuts. When I got called back, I was called back into a special education classroom and decided to get my intervention specialist license. I went through Bluffton University to get my intervention specialist license. And after teaching for a few years, I got my master's in educational administration. As a teacher, you need to have organizational skills, you need to be able to work well with others, and as a special education teacher, you need to be a really good problem solver. And you have to work with all different types of personalities in your students, and then also in the colleagues that you work with who have our special education students in their classroom. On a typical day, I arrive early to prepare my materials for the day. I have about an hour per group of students that I work with, so students rotate in and out of my classroom throughout the day. I'm able to work individually with students in that hour. I normally teach reading, language arts, and math to 3rd and 4th grade students. I feel that technology will continue to change education in the classroom as far as assessments and for teachers learning and continuing to grow and always just being a lifetime learner yourself.
Hi, my name's Kristen Gable and I'm a teacher at Delphos City Schools. I currently teach 4th grade language arts at Franklin Elementary, and this will be my 10th year of teaching. I taught for 1 year at an inner city school in Dayton before I got married and moved to Delphos. I substitute taught for 3 years, and then I've been teaching at Jefferson now for 6 years at the elementary and at the middle school. When I was in high school, I was a swimmer and a lifeguard, and one summer I got the opportunity to coach our swim team and to teach swim lessons, and that's when I really found that I enjoyed working with kids and teaching them new things, watching them grow over time, and when they had success, I felt like I had purpose in what I was doing and realized that that was a kind of career that I wanted to get involved in. So then my high school offered a program where we were able to go and shadow teachers in our school system. So I got connected with a 4th grade teacher actually, and spent part of my senior year. I would go to her classroom for part of the day, and I got an opportunity to help her with lessons, designing bulletin boards, working with kids in small groups, and just being a part of their regular school day to really see what all was involved in being a teacher. And so that program, along with my experiences as a coach, helped me really know that being a teacher is what I wanted to do. So then when I started college, I went to Ohio Northern University, and I decided to declare middle childhood education as my major. You have to pick a couple of subjects for those. So I selected math and science to be my main subjects. When I was in high school, I had a really great chemistry and physics teacher, and he really made me feel passionate about wanting to teach science. And I also selected math because I felt like that was something that was easy for me and that I caught on to quickly, and I was able to help others. So through my time at Ohio Northern, I took classes in math and science, as well as my teacher education courses. My college program allowed me to go in and shadow teachers throughout my time to make sure that was the major that I really did want to continue with. And through those experiences and being in different grade levels and different school settings, I really knew that being a teacher was what I wanted to do. And then that led me all the way through my college experience and my student teaching, when I really felt reassured that being a teacher was something that I wanted to do, because not only did I want to impact kids' lives, but I really just enjoyed the success and the feelings of helping kids understand concepts that may be hard for them or to learn something new. I have a bachelor's degree in middle childhood education. My areas of focus are math and science, but I also received a reading endorsement. That meant that I was licensed to teach grades 4 to 9 in math, science, or reading when I graduated. After I graduated, I went on and decided to get something that Ohio offers, which is called the grades 4 to 6 generalist. So that allowed me to teach language arts as well as social studies, and I'm very glad that I did it because that actually allowed me to take on my current position that I have now, where I do teach language arts. I currently don't have my master's degree, but I'm planning on going back to work on that as well. I think that as a teacher, you have to have several skills to be successful and to enjoy your career. I think you obviously need to have an outgoing personality so you feel comfortable to be in front of students as well as other large groups. I think that you need to be flexible and know that not every day is going to be perfect and not everything that you have planned is going to work out. I think you need to have patience because whenever you work with kids, you're going to realize that they don't always behave the ways that you hope that they do, and you're going to have to figure out how to deal with that. Obviously, you need to invest time and dedication because you want to design plans and lessons that are going to help your students be successful. In my time that I worked at the middle school, I really found that you need to show the students that you really do truly care about them and just invest your time and letting them know that you care about them not only as a student, but as a whole person, and that you want them to be successful and prepared for the future. In my time working at the elementary, I found that oftentimes these kids need compassion too. They need a hug, they need an encouraging word, and they need someone there that they know is hoping for the best for them. A typical day for a teacher normally starts around 7:40. We arrive to school about 10 minutes before the students get here. Although if you come in at 7:40, you usually find that a lot of teachers have already been here for a while. Some people even come as early as 6:30 in the morning. In that time before the students come, that's our time where we're doing any last minute preparations, making sure our technology is ready and working, and making sure our rooms are orderly and prepared. The first bell rings at 7:50 and the kids come running down the hall ready for you, so you have to be ready for them. They come into your classroom as an elementary teacher and they're putting things away in your classroom. At the middle school, they're usually putting things away in their lockers. When they enter the room, there's usually a point in time in which we call morning work, where they're getting some things done at their desks prior to the announcements. At the elementary, we always try and check kids' homework and make sure that they got everything done that they needed to from the night before. The announcements will come on from our principal, and after those are done, here at the elementary, we do switch classes in 4th grade, so we start to get the kids packed up with the things that they will need as they switch. At the middle school, it's all determined by the bell system. As soon as the bell rings, they're gone. My next class will come to me, and I teach a different teacher's homeroom, language arts. I teach that class for 1 hour, and in that hour, I normally have to squeeze in a reading lesson. I try and get in some English skills as well, and try and squeeze in some writing in there. Then we switch classes after an hour, and the next homeroom comes to me, and I do the same thing all over again. Usually I figure out a few things that can make it better the second time around. Then our classes switch back. At the elementary, we have morning recess. Some days you have recess duty, some days you don't. And it usually involves about 20 minutes going outside and monitoring the kids on the playground to make sure everybody's safe. We also try and squeeze in a restroom break in there for the kids. And if you're lucky enough as a teacher, you might get to go to the restroom now too. You've now been at school for about 3 hours, and that is your first time to go to the bathroom. After my kids come back in, I teach language arts for a 3rd time to my homeroom, and I also try and get in some of their spelling skills. In that hour of time, we're also looking forward to lunch, and the kids are always ready for that. We eat lunch. They have about 30 minutes to eat lunch. Some teachers are in charge of lunchroom duty, and they have to monitor the students while they're eating, also help clean up any messes. After their 30 minutes of lunch, they go out to recess. Depending upon the day, you may have recess duty again, and this time it's going to be 30 minutes instead of maybe 20. If you don't have recess duty, normally kids are coming up to your classroom because you maybe need to work with them one-on-one, or they're trying to finish up homework that they never did the day before. After our recess, they come back, and we usually try and get in anything that we didn't get done in the morning. They go to a special. Those are things like gym, music, art, library, or computers. While they're at that special, that's what we call your planning time, and you have about 30 minutes of time by yourself to try and make copies, work on lesson plans, or grade papers. When they come back in 4th grade, we try and give them a little bit of study hall time. We're able to help kids with their homework, make sure they're getting a good start on things. Around 2:55, our bell rings here at Franklin. Then we have to escort our students outside. We wait with them in the parking lot until they all get picked up. And at 3:10, any kids that aren't left, we usually have to call their parents to tell them that they have to come pick them up. 3:10 is when we're allowed to leave, but usually you're exhausted and you have to clean up your classroom and you're trying to leave as soon as you can. Sometimes you may have to stay a little bit late to make sure you have everything ready. Even though our workday hours are really only from 7:40 to 3:10, as a teacher I find that the duties and responsibilities oftentimes go past those time barriers. I'm a mom of 3 kids, so I'm busy and I may have to leave right at 3:10, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have to maybe grade a few papers late at night when all my kids are in bed asleep, or maybe I sneak back up to school later because I have to run copies for the next day that I forgot about. And oftentimes in the summer, the teachers that I work with, we're getting together, trying to think about new ideas that we want to use for the next school year, or we're trying to plan things. Usually once the month of August hits, the rush of teachers goes straight back to school because you're getting your classroom ready, you're getting everything labeled and prepared and all the supplies out for the kids. So in actuality, we really only feel like we have about 2 months off in the summer, but usually you spend your whole summer thinking about what you wanted to fix from the last school year.
Hi, I'm Chad Brickman, high school principal at Delphos, Jefferson. This is my first year at the helm of principal. I've been in education for 19 years as a teacher and 1 now as principal. I started my path to this position 20 years ago. Actually, back that up, 1988, so it'd be 26 years ago. And I was in your boots as a junior, deciding what to do with my life. Is a college the way to go? Is construction at the time I was working the way to go? And I was nervous, and the only thing I did know is that A, I wanted to go to college. B, I wanted to work with people. My first 2 years in college was undecided. I was teetering towards lawyer, nurse, education, and I started to reflect. I remembered there was some burning desire to be a teacher, to help kids of your age in some capacity. So I went on to get my degree in history and political science from Ohio State University, and then went to Urbana University, got my education degree, and then recently completed my principal license through Concordia University. So it's been a long road. The things that prepare you for a job in any education, whether it be principal or not, is you have to have a love of people, a desire to work hard, be able to make critical decisions and quickly, be creative, not take yourself serious all the time, the willingness to listen and to learn. Those are the key ones. It's interesting, in the high school here, we have something called above the line, and there are certain behaviors and skills that you want to have for all capacity of life, but it's not more important in any of the jobs you choose, including a principal. And that's the ability to look somebody in the eye and say, hello, thank you, no thank you. The ability to listen to somebody's concerns and reflect upon it and give an objective opinion as an answer. So those are some things you may want to think about in this career. In terms of teaching, you need a 5-year degree typically today, 5-year or a master's degree to leave to become a teacher in a high school, and then to become a principal, it's another 1.5 to 2 years on top of it. And what you're looking at are studying Ohio law in education, you're looking at policies with education, and then you also have a year internship with a principal where you learn budgeting for a school, for example. And there's many little facets. It's like running your own little town. It's almost like being a mayor, so is the best way to look at it of a community. Again, the special skills I believe that are most important to this job are listening, problem solving, not taking anything personal, and dealing with people's emotions and finding the best way to do things. The biggest advice I would give somebody going into this job is to always make a decision based on firm data or conclusive evidence. Try to make the best decisions for the entire school and not a personal or emotional decision, and to always reflect before you react. So those are some best advice I would give for somebody looking at this career. A typical day, I come in at 7 o'clock. I make the coffee, that's very important. And then I get at my computer and check the emails. I get my announcements ready for the day. On Fridays, I find a joke of the day. On Fridays, I like to make it light and fun. I'll get my announcements ready, take a look at my messages on the phone, and then I will go down and watch cafeteria duty in the morning. I like to say good morning to all the students as I can and take a look at people coming through the door. And then the day will evolve. What's interesting about this job, if you don't want a job where you sit down and expect the same thing to happen every day, maybe you're looking at an office job, this is not the job for you. You're going to walk in and every day is something different. You might have a plan of what you want to do, and a student might come in with a problem, or a parent comes in with a concern, or it could be something positive someone wants to talk to you about. Your day is always evolving, and that comes back to your problem solving, your ability to handle situations quickly and to always be thinking about and listening about what other people have to say. What I like most about the career in education and principal is the people you work with. The ability to watch people grow and learn about themselves, to be productive, to leave here and come back, or see kids when they come back as young adults, appreciating what they learned. Now, when you leave high school, it's not all the dates you're going to remember. It's not the logarithms you're going to remember. It's the experiences and the character that builds upon. It's layer after layer after layer that school provides you. And when you leave here, and even when you leave college, the most learning you do is when your first job. I find it very important for you, right now as you're sitting there, take a look at summer jobs. Any kind of job you can gather or should take to gain experience working with people is so important. People skills, responsibilities, time management. These are the things that are very important to you now. Education, I see a drive towards more community involvement, a lot more technology. I can see a lot more classes being taught through this type of medium where somebody can be sitting here taking an online class, and schools as we know in 20 years could be totally different. They may not be a school setting as we're experiencing now. So any type of technology you can infuse and learn now would be great. Always be happy with yourself, be confident in what you want to do, and whether it's education, principalship, or anything you're looking at, take these experiences and value them, and always be confident in the decision you're going to make, and you can always change it. But the principal in education is worthwhile, and if you want to make a change in people's lives and deal with people and solve problems and always be active in the community, then this is the place to be. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Judy Bevington. I teach math here at Delphos Jefferson High School. And the classes that I'm teaching, I currently teach Honors Algebra 2, College Algebra, Advanced Placement Statistics, and Advanced Placement Calculus. In the past, I've taught 7th and 8th grade math, pre-algebra, Algebra 1, and geometry. My certificate allows me to teach any level of mathematics in grades 7 through 12. I've been teaching for 27 years. 16 of those years were in California, and the last 11 years have been in Ohio. I did my preparation all in California. I attended San Diego State University, where I was required to complete my bachelor's degree in mathematics, a 4-year degree, before completing a 5th year, where I took all my education classes and I did my student teaching. The state of Ohio does it a little differently. Prospective teachers can earn their degree in mathematics education in 4 years, and that includes their student teaching. Now, I've wanted to be a teacher ever since I was in the 1st grade, and I remember times as a little kid setting up all my little dolls and my stuffed animals, and I'd get out my little textbooks and I would teach them to read, or I would teach them math, because I really enjoyed teaching. So I've always known I wanted to be a teacher. When I got to being high school age and I was thinking about what subject I might like to teach, I actually was torn between English and math, and decided to go with math because I knew that I would always have a job. So I felt like there was a lot of job security. There was a lot of discussion about not so much calling it STEM careers, but that idea that math and science, those subjects were a lot harder to find teachers, and so I knew as a high school teacher in math I would always be able to find employment. And that's important, that you want to think about, am I employable, and knowing that you'll be able to find a job. I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics, and I also have a teaching certificate from the state of Ohio. Then a few years ago, I went on to earn a master's degree in curriculum and development. And part of the reason for getting a master's degree in education is you have to do continuing education, so you do have to continue to advance yourself, because every time you renew your certificate, you have to show that you have done something as far as professional development. So taking some additional coursework in college is one way to do that. And also, let's face it, you can go up on the pay scale if you have more education. And so that's important to think about when you are entering into a career. As far as special skills that you might need to have to be a teacher, especially to be a math teacher, and this is going to sound crazy, I know, but if you're going to be a math teacher, you need to understand mathematics, and that's really important. And even if you're teaching elementary or junior high mathematics, it's really important that you know all the levels of mathematics very well. Sometimes you might find yourself teaching a concept in a lower grade level, and you might not really understand where that concept is going to go next if you haven't prepared for that. And it's really important that you understand where that concept fits into an upper level mathematics class. There are things where you might, if you didn't know that, you might think, well, I can just skip over this as a teacher in a younger grade level. But you might be skipping a concept that's extremely important, maybe not until calculus. So it's really important that you have a broad understanding of mathematics, not just the subject you're going to teach, but all more advanced classes as well. So that's very important that you understand math well. Another thing that's important to be an effective teacher, you have to have a passion for your subject. And this might mean that you seem a little crazy sometimes. I've been known to wear some crazy math t-shirts. I make my students sing songs sometimes. And so sometimes it can get a little crazy, and that makes it fun. And if you don't have a passion for the subject that you teach, how do you expect your students to have a passion for that subject? So it's very important that you do that. And no matter what level or what subject you're teaching, you have to love your students. It's so important that you treat them with respect, that you let them know that you care about them, because they know. If you don't, if you just treat this, it's just a job, I'm just doing my job. And if you have that kind of attitude, students know that. And so it's really important that you show that you care about them. A typical day, you might wonder, okay, what's a teacher do? So what's your typical day? Well, I get up at 4:30 in the morning, really early. And that's because that's the only me time where I can actually work out. And I find that if I exercise, I'm a lot better in mental and physical shape to handle the demands of the job. It's important to eat a good breakfast, and it's important to shower, of course, and be dressed professionally. And I usually leave for work about 7:15 in the morning. Once I'm here, from about 7:30 to 8, sometimes students will come in and see me for extra help. Sometimes I will have a meeting. I might have a meeting. I'm actually an advisor for 2 different clubs. So there are times during the week where I have meetings. Sometimes I might have a department meeting with other math teachers, or I might have a staff meeting with all the staff at the school. So mornings are pretty busy. 8:10, the school day officially begins. Students come in for the first class, and I actually teach 4 different classes the first 4 periods of the day. So it is exhausting. The morning goes quickly, but it's very tiring because I'm constantly shifting the subjects that I teach. Sometimes it's even hard to find time for basic necessities like going to the bathroom. Sometimes it's hard to find time to do that. We have 4 minutes in between classes, but a lot of times students have questions or they need help. So there's a lot of demand for your time. Then at 11:45 to 12:15, I get a half an hour lunch break. Sometimes students will come in and they'll need to see me about something, and maybe that's their only time that they have available. So I might have to spend some time during my lunchtime. Although I try to keep my lunchtime where I can actually eat my lunch and have a few moments of rest. Then in the afternoon, I monitor a study hall. I have a planning period where I don't have any students, and then I have 1 more class I teach at the end of the day. So my mornings, very busy, very exhausting. My afternoons, I have a little bit more time to grade some papers and make some lesson plans and be ready for the next day's lessons. 3 o'clock, the bell rings, the students are done, and they all go home. But my work's not done yet. I don't leave until I am completely ready for the next day. I write all my lesson plans up on the board. I make sure all of my papers have been Xeroxed and copied so that I'm ready for any handouts I need the next day. And a lot of times I have to take papers home because I haven't finished grading everything. There just wasn't enough time in the day. Or maybe I need to write a quiz or a test for one of my classes. So, you know, the day doesn't end at 3 o'clock for a teacher. One of the things that I like the most about my career is I love working with high school students. It is such a privilege to help students prepare for their futures. And I enjoy math, and I hope that I can teach students to enjoy and appreciate mathematics. It is so meaningful as a teacher to have students contact you after they've graduated from high school and to get an email saying, remember when you taught me how to do a certain topic in math, and they might share something and how valuable that was for them. And it is so nice to hear that, to hear back from a student about how helpful it was or how they've been able to be successful in college because of the math that they learned in high school. So it's very rewarding to have students come back and tell you that. One of the things that I would want to share with anyone who is interested in pursuing a teaching career, especially maybe a career in teaching high school mathematics or teaching at any level, if you aren't completely committed to helping students, then you need to find another career. Teaching is not for you. Teaching is hard work. I am constantly thinking of new ways to help my students understand difficult subject matter. Planning a successful lesson takes a lot of time and effort. I know sometimes people think that teaching is an easy job because you're done at 3 and you have summers off. But you know, that's not correct. There are many days I work from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. and a lot of times my summers are filled with professional development activities. So there's always more that seems to be needed, more work to be done. As far as my choices, I am so happy that I chose this career. Sometimes people will go into teaching thinking that someday they want to be an administrator. Not me. I love to teach and I love to teach math. I don't want to be an administrator. I like being in the classroom. And so that's something, we need good administrators, absolutely. But for me, teaching in the classroom is what I want to do, and that's what I want to continue to do.